Okay, talk about the blossom end rot thing, and how people's ideas about what causes it and how to deal with it, and what really causes it and how to really deal with it.
Right. So blossom end rot. If you grow tomatoes, you've probably seen it. It's basically you have a fruit, and the end is sort of shriveled a little and just totally black spot on it that can expand, and that's actually from a calcium deficiency. And so people always think, okay, well, so add more lime to the soil or some other form of calcium, but it's not from a deficiency necessarily in the soil. It's from a deficiency of the calcium to get and stay in the fruit. And it turns out if you have, although where you are, can't imagine this happening that much because it's typically hot, dry conditions where you have a lot of transpiration, a lot of the water is going up to the leaves, and when that happens, it actually draws calcium away from the fruit towards the leaves. So the ways to deal with blossom end rot, one thing would be to make sure the plants are watered, so there's no water deficiency. And if you can, if you this would be a reason not to plant them necessarily to a single stem with a lot of air movement around them because you don't want too much transpiration of the plant.
You see.
And then also different varieties, they vary in susceptibility to blossom end rot. And on the plus side, even if you have a tomato with blossom end rot, it's not some deadly disease that's going to affect you. You can just cut off the end and use the rest of the tomato.
Right, and well, and also like just because your plant has produced a couple with that doesn't mean the successive yields are
Right.
going to have that. I also think, especially here, a lot of people like they're waiting and waiting and waiting to get they get overzealous and they start their transplants now,
Uh-huh.
and then they can't plant them till like June, and so they're like 2 feet high and they got flowers on them, but they're growing in a little something this size,
Yeah.
right? And so the plant has no roots, and then they harden off and stick it outside, and you've got this thing 2 feet high with a tiny little root system, and it's got flowers. It starts developing flowers indoors or in whatever, under artificial lights or whatever. So this is just they should I think they should just pluck off all those flowers when they plant them out.
Or better yet is not start them so early.
Oh,
Because
well, yes, of course.
a plant that started that early really does sort of, it might bear fruit and then just stop. That's, it's not really going to establish well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, that's another thing. I think a lot of gardeners. I think I think there's a question down here about when to start the transplant. So we don't want to kill the lead on that one. So let's save that one for later. Last question. What's the deal with Epsom salts? One thing I like to do is read Facebook pages and just read the questions people ask and the questions everybody else answers. There's no point in going into it because no one will agree with you anyway. But so anyone will say, oh, Bob, X doesn't matter. X is wrong with my tomato plants. What should I do? And they'll say, spray Epsom
Right.
salts with water, spray them, water them with it, put some, all this Epsom. So, what is the deal?
People people really consider Epsom salts to be this cure-all. And I was going to say when we were talking about blossom end rot, that I was going to say the one thing not to do is give them Epsom salts. So Epsom salts are magnesium sulfate, so it doesn't supply calcium; it's magnesium. But something about it, people think there's some magic about Epsom salts. And whenever I hear this, I think of what I took a course in plant nutrition when I was in graduate school, and I remember when the teacher was talking about it, the professor he said yes, add Epsom salts to your soil if your soil is deficient in magnesium. So you don't just add Epsom salts if there's not enough magnesium in the soil. This is a way to add magnesium. One way, it's not the only way. There's other ways to add magnesium also. So generally, if you see a recommendation to add Epsom salts, it's not true. But magnesium is one of the macronutrients that's needed. Is needed, but
Right.
it's not this cure, and it's not like everybody's deficient in magnesium.
Yes. Yeah.
You know.